I was homeless for a couple of years and parked to sleep at a campsite up north of where I am. I pulled in, parked, fed the cats and started to cook and relax. Flashlights appeared in my face, 4 of them, all looking in the windows. So I assumed it was rangers asking me to move since the campsite was technically closed. I rolled down my window a bit and asked what was up, and apparently it was a family of 4 also parked and camping. They had a fire going and a dog, so I figured things were okay here. But I just couldn't shake a really weird feeling. My boyfriend at the time decided to try and befriend them, and we got out to chat. They asked a lot of very pointed personal questions. Are you married? Do you live around here? Do you have any kids? But actually, it was their 2 kids asking all the questions. They spoke like adults, which made me assume maybe trauma was a real part in their life. At some point, the kids put themselves to bed by basically going, "Mom, Dad, we're headed to bed." That really rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. But whatever. It all got worse from here though. They talked about their converted truck that they live in. Apparently, the kids shared a bed, and a key point they made was that the van was soundproof. They really wanted to play with our cats, but no such luck. The husband and wife, I only remember the dude. He said his name was Scooter, which, really? Also, the daughters' names were Olivia and the son was Skeeter. I feel like these were fake names. They started to try and separate me and my boyfriend, saying things like, "Let's walk to the river, let's go look at the car." They were really interested in hearing about any injuries we had. And at some point, they started letting the fire go out and standing behind us a lot. That was enough. We left some stuff behind and got in the car, started it up, and just talked like, what the hell? It took 2 minutes for the woman to walk up to the van and ask if we were leaving. We said no, obviously, and that we were just cold. So she asked to sit in the seat behind us. I asked her why, but she didn't answer, and asked if she could sit with us or on my lap. And again, I asked her why. She again didn't answer. She said we can't leave her there because her husband beats her, and so I asked if she wanted the police. She didn't answer, pulled out a cigarette and lit it up, leaning against the door of our car. We looked at each other and heard someone douse the fire. I said, "Baby," just out of so much nervousness, which is when I found out that my boyfriend was suspicious from the beginning and didn't think to say anything until now, only to add that if I had stayed and not followed him to the car, he would have just left me there. He was a waste of space, but before I could process it, I heard the husband grab something off the fire tool set. One thing I noticed was that there was a large red axe, and I just got tunnel vision and hit the gas. I felt the woman pounce off the side of my van as we pulled away, and just as we got on the road, an ambulance was behind us with its lights flashing. I wasn't stopping for it. You know how easy it is to buy emergency lights for any car on Amazon. So, no thanks. The ambulance turned off to a dead-end road, eventually after a while of demon driving into town. We never heard a siren, looked it up, and the aforementioned river was 2.5 miles into the dense woods. Apparently, a lot of people go missing out there. I wonder who's to blame. I live on a farm on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere in British Columbia's interior. No cell service, neighbours are beyond shouting distance. A very on-your-own lifestyle out here. My trailer is at the top of this property next to a barn, surrounded with 360-degree of forest. Except for the little road up here. The mountain, Mount Ida, has a long history with the Aboriginal people of my area. I've been told stories of the mountain since I was a kid. Basically, the summary of every story is, people are banished from the mountain because the spirits make it too dangerous. All sorts of weird things have been seen and have happened on this mountain. Last night, around 10:45 p.m, I heard 3 sets of sirens rush by the road. Out here, you never hear sirens. In my cumulative 15 years here, I've heard one siren, and it was earlier this week. Basically, it just intrigued me at that point. It wasn't until about half an hour later or so, and my power cuts out. I'm already in bed at this point. Lights were out. Only way I had actually noticed was because I had no Wi-Fi. Now that's always a heart stopper, because out here, no Wi-Fi means I'm entirely on my own. This makes me anxious, for sure, but I'm more worried that I won't be able to call the fire department if something catches on fire, more than anything. Then out of nowhere, I hear this super sharp and loud cry, like a kid who just crashed on a bike. Hysterical crying from what sounds to be a young child. My dogs are going absolutely nuts at the door. Now, if you're familiar with cougars or mountain lions, you should know that they can often mimic a child crying, and scary accurately too. So laying there as the tension builds, I'm just telling myself, it's just a cougar. That's all it is, just a cougar. For me, that's the best case scenario right now, that it's just a cougar. Dogs have finally calmed down, and I'm still just trying to get some shut-eye. When I hear the second sound, this was an ungodly sound that I've never heard in my life. This one sounded like a mix of every horror movie monster all in one. I can't even describe it. It was about 5 seconds of pure screeching, like a demonic banshee with the vocal cords of a T-Rex. The bass to it shook my bed. It was as if there was a concert-sized sound system hiding in the forest, blasting zombie vomit. I could taste my heartbeat at this point. My dogs are acting like rabies-ridden pit bulls towards the door, snarling and growling like whatever just screamed was on the other side of the door. I didn't know what to do at that point. Couldn't call or get in contact with anyone. Lights are all off. I'm just laying there in the dark, utterly and completely scared. I was not about to get up and go investigate. It's the middle of winter, of course, too. I just laid there, checking my phone every 30 seconds, seeing if the Wi-Fi came back. Nothing else came after, though. Just ended up falling asleep at some point. As of this morning, everything is back to normal. Nothing creepy is going on. Power's back on. I made a post in the local Facebook group. Nobody else in the area heard anything, and only a few lost power as well as me. So take it as you will. Cougar in heat? Bigfoot coming out of hibernation? A 1,000-year-old native ghost trying to get me off his land. I'm not a very paranormal guy, and I have no idea what it could have been at this point. Now here's an update. So to start, it has been confirmed the sirens and the power was lost due to a motor vehicle incident into a power pole a kilometre or so down the road. Strangely enough, I've also found out that the other siren a week or so ago was also responding to a motor vehicle incident, but in almost the exact same spot, so take that as you will. I also decided to open Reddit for the first time to see all the comments about 1 in the morning. Terrible idea. You guys have all scared the crap out of me even more, but thank you as well. Now for a general update. Yes, to everyone mentioning it, I do have a generator. Problem is, it's up in the barn along with the Wi-Fi router. I definitely was not going to even open my bedroom door, let alone go outside after hearing that and go into a dark and creepy barn just to screw around with the Jenny. I've checked around the walkable vicinity, no tracks or anything of interest that I found. Although, I did not want to go searching through the forest for tracks, to be completely honest. As for gun protection, I would absolutely love to have a gun for this exact reason, but it's a hassle in Canada. And even if I did decide tomorrow was the day, it's a long process, and I probably wouldn't have a gun until next winter. So that wouldn't help me now. Cougar, as I said, the first one was definitely a cougar in my opinion. I've heard many cougars throughout my life, and they've made a lot of weird noises. But that second one, I just have a tough time accepting that noise as a cougar. In the defense of it being a cougar in heat though, the weather has been absurdly strange and very warm. Usually it's about -15 this time of year, but it's sitting around 0 these past few weeks. This could cause some animals, including cougars, thinking it's spring, concluding to some weird behaviour. A government lab? I have to unfortunately say, this is most likely not the case. I've explored a lot of the mountain as trails in my back 40 go onto Crown land and up to the rest of the mountain. It's just logging and trails up there. My area is very boring and you would notice any type of suspicious vehicles coming in and around here, unless they're sneakily driving around mid-2000s rusted out F-150s, because that's about 3/4 of the vehicles out here, myself included. I would really like to believe that it was some crazy one-off wild animal sound that was just so freakishly close to my trailer. But a lot of these Bigfoot theories are very similar to what I experienced. I didn't even want to think of the skinwalkers some of you were mentioning. Last night was okay. There was no noises and the dogs were calm all night. Let me tell you though, I fell asleep with the podcast playing just to distract myself from the quiet.